Bangladesh is a country located in South Asia, and its name comes from the word Bengal, which represents a tiger native to this region. The area of Bangladesh is 148,460 square kilometers, which is a huge area compared to European countries. However, despite this vast area, Bangladesh's biggest problem is its population density. According to the 2020 census, 166 million people officially live in the country. This means that the country's territory is very limited. Bangladesh is therefore a complex country with a number of human-induced problems due to its high population density. As in India, we can say that where there are many people, there are usually more problems. The country is perfect for nature lovers with its tropical beaches and rich forests. However, there are other problems you may encounter while enjoying these beauties. Bangladesh has a lot of mosquitoes, so visitors usually carry mosquito repellent with them. Dhaka, the capital city, is the most developed and populous city in Bangladesh. Approximately 12 million people live in this city. If you are thinking of traveling to Bangladesh, the easiest way is usually by air. Bangladesh is also a country where earthquakes and floods are common, so it is important to be prepared for natural disasters. Bangladesh borders countries in South Asia such as Myanmar and India, and has therefore generally adopted a lifestyle similar to Indian culture. Historically, these two communities emerged after the fall of the Indian Empire. Despite the influence of Islamic culture, they have maintained close ties with their neighbor India. In the early 1900s, Bangladesh was a place where Muslims were concentrated in the east and Indians in the west. Until 1991, this division continued and mismanagement prevailed throughout the country. Although the people of Bangladesh have tried to come together in the last 30 years, natural disasters such as tsunamis, floods, and earthquakes have failed to stabilize the country. One of the main reasons for the country's underdevelopment is undoubtedly its population density. Today, Bengali is officially spoken in Bangladesh. However, there are very few people who speak English well on the streets and in the streets. Some of them speak English with their own accent, so it can be difficult to understand them at first glance. In addition, the government of Bangladesh conducts its official correspondence and commercial agreements in English. First of all, Bangladesh is one of the poorest countries in the world. People generally live on less than $5 a day. Therefore, it is possible to see that they do their work in primitive ways. The minimum wage in the country is about $95. This means that incomes in Bangladesh are extremely low, and it has one of the cheapest labor forces in the world. Under these circumstances, international companies and conglomerates would not miss this opportunity. It is common practice to set up factories in countries where taxes and labor are the lowest to produce the products of a world-renowned brand. Bangladesh is home to the production factories of many big brands, and they sell the products produced here in their stores around the world. For example, you can employ 15 workers in Bangladesh for the cost of one worker in the US. Also, when walking around the capital Dhaka, you can see people, both men and women, carrying things on their heads. Many people do not have vehicles to carry heavy loads, so they carry them on their heads. You will also see many cables running through the streets just above your head, usually attached to poles and probably belonging to telephone and internet lines. This sight alone is enough to show how far behind the country is in terms of infrastructure. Similar to the scenes in Vietnam and India, traffic is in constant motion. The streets are almost never empty and vehicles are constantly moving. If you unconsciously throw yourself on the road, the risk of being hit by a motorcycle or car in Bangladesh is really high. This is because there are not many safe pedestrian crossings in Bangladesh, such as pedestrian crossings or underpasses. Pedestrians are exposed to many dangers and difficulties when crossing from one place to another. Also in cities, if you live close to the street, you will see vehicles honking their horns all the time, and there is never a lack of human noise. Traffic is usually regulated by the police without traffic lights. If you are not a calm person and cannot tolerate noise, Bangladesh can be quite challenging for you. There are bicycles that serve as taxis for urban transportation, but unfortunately these bicycles are completely pedal-powered and are not motorized vehicles. The people who use the bicycles are usually thin men. If you ride a bicycle with two people, the bicycle can barely carry you, which is quite challenging. In general, people in Bangladesh are tense and quick-tempered. This is usually because in a crowded country there is some kind of chaos around every corner. Walking through the streets and bazaars in Bangladesh, you will often come across hawker stalls. However, these stalls often have an unhygienic appearance. Also, some vendors are unorganized and disorganized, which does not inspire confidence when selling products. Therefore, you may not want to eat or drink as a traveler in Bangladesh. As you walk around the cities of Bangladesh, you can often see construction going on. As the population in the country is constantly growing, new buildings are constantly being constructed. The roads are often dusty and dirty, which can lead to various health problems. It can feel like a mix of Bangladesh, India, and Vietnam. The design of streets and avenues, heavy traffic, cheap labor, and street food are more reminiscent of Vietnam. People's facial features, beliefs, and ethnicity are more reminiscent of India. In Bangladesh, Fridays and Saturdays are considered public holidays, while the new week starts on Sunday. For this reason, the crowd on the streets can increase even more on Fridays and Saturdays. The sad reality is that prostitution is completely free in Bangladesh, and the state does not intervene. This undermines the moral values of society and poses a great danger to women. Families living in poverty, instead of educating their daughters, drag them into areas associated with prostitution. In some parts of the country, there are hotels where prostitution is practiced, and these areas have become a tourist attraction. The level of education in Bangladesh is low, and the literacy rate is very low. Only 3 out of every 10 people can read and write. Garbage problems are common in cities, and people spit on the ground. Sexual harassment is a common problem in Bangladesh. Walking down the street, no matter what gender you are, you may be subjected to harassing stares. It's not just a sexual message, it's also about how people think they can take advantage of you and make money. Of course, alcohol is not a very prominent social issue in Bangladesh. As a result, it is rare to see alcohol legally sold in shops in Bangladesh, especially as it is a Muslim country. The possession and use of pork is also prohibited in Bangladesh. Visiting museums and participating in pleasant excursions are also possible within this price range. For accommodation, you can pay between $5 and $10 per night in hostels and hotels. Therefore, life in Bangladesh is cheap, but there may be some question marks about health and cleanliness. Another good thing is that when you are a foreigner, people in Bangladesh pay attention to you, greet you, and want to communicate with you immediately. This makes you feel special and makes you happy. In fact, Bangladesh is considered one of the fastest growing countries in the world in terms of economic growth over the last few years. Economists believe that Bangladesh will prosper rapidly by using its population in a positive way, and many educated Bangladeshis agree. In this context, it appears that only a small minority in Bangladesh lives a life of luxury. It is likely that the country's existing wealth is being exploited by this minority. In general, Bangladesh is considered one of the most difficult countries in the world to live in. When a country has a large population and poverty is widespread, living conditions can be quite challenging. I would appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.